On this channel, we talk about how to self-heal, how to grow so that you can live more optimally on purpose as your authentic self, both for yourself and the people that you care about. And recently I started talking about shadow work and inner work and how that has been one of the most transformational things that has worked for my healing and my growth, and is one of the tools or the practices that I use the most with the clients I work with, but it's also the work that I want to share and spread far and wide, like everywhere, because I think it is so important. And I truly believe the world becomes a better place when we do this work within ourselves. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that can feel kind of emotionally charged for a lot of people. And it's also a topic that there's a lot of, there's a collective shadow around, if you will. And what do I mean by collective shadow? It means that it's a theme that the society as a whole kind of operates from, or meaning it's a part of society that's very much repressed. It's not talked about. Maybe there's fear and shame and judgment around it. And this topic is, of course, money. The thing is, when there is any type of topic that we feel emotional charge around, whether it be money or relationships or health and fitness or our relationship to ourselves, that is always an invitation for us to go deeper and to look at our own beliefs and our own, what's going on beneath the surface, what's going on in our nervous system, what's going on within us, so that we don't feel that charge and we're not kind of reflected outside of ourselves back what's going on the inside. Meaning, there's a famous saying that says, as within, so without. What's going on the inside is likely to be reflected on the outside. And this can be especially the case when it comes to money, because so many of us experience things around money, whether it being insecurity or fear or spending habits, or fear around asking for more money or wanting to make more money but feeling weird about it. There's just so many things that go on when it comes to money. And again, it's no wonder that we feel this, because this is such a collective societal thing that so many people feel. And here's the thing, as a preface for this conversation, which is very important, is that my own context is that I live in one of the richest countries in the world, and also one of the most highly taxed countries in the world, Norway. That's my cultural context, and it is an incredible privilege for me to be able to speak about this and to be sharing about this topic. And that is exactly why I do it also, because the more people are able to look at their money stuff, heal their conditioning, look at what's going on with their relationship with money, the more people are able to earn and spend and circulate and hold and take care of money from a heart-centered space that will serve everyone as a collective, as a whole, right? Even if that means that we're just taking more care of ourselves, or we're taking care of our families, or at a greater in a greater context than that. Like if we're here to influence more people and to impact more, right? So this is a really, really important conversation that I'm going to start talking more about on this channel, as I see that this is probably one of the biggest things that people need to look at within themselves the most. So why do I specifically care about this the most, or am not the most, but one of the things I care about a lot about this, because I see that this is a pattern that so many people that I've worked with personally have, in addition to myself. I've worked with so many women, if not most of the women I work with, they have felt fear or shame or insecurity around money. They felt fear around wanting to earn more. They felt shame around wanting to earn more. They felt that they can't earn more. They can't ask for a higher raise. They can't be ambitious in the things that they want to do. They feel like they shouldn't talk about money, or they feel that they, if they talk about how much they're making, if they're making a lot, they'll be seen as selfish, they'll be seen as bad, all these different things that are kind of lurking underneath the surface. And again, if we don't look at these things, then we can't kind of heal and optimize our relationship with something like money, right? So I want to continue going on to looking at like the source of where this comes from. Like, what is actually going on when it comes to money? Like, what is the source of our relationship with money that can cause so much wonkiness and weirdness and fear and insecurity and all the different things that don't have to be there when we actually look at what's going on beneath the surface. And one thing that I found from my own experience and from what I keep studying and learning is that there are 3 places we want to look at when it comes to money, that within us, that it's not really about money itself, it's the relationship to these 3 things and how they feel in our bodies. And before I go to those things, I just want to tell a story really quick, because one of the things that I saw like very clearly when I was working at a gym here in Norway was that people really didn't, they often felt a lot of weirdness, or like they felt triggered often if they were to spend money on things like personal training or a gym membership. But they wouldn't have a problem when it came to spending money on something like clothing, or on alcohol, or on candy and junk food, or it just, and those things too, that usually came from a pretty unconscious place. They didn't realize maybe that they were spending that much money on those places. These are sometimes patterns that's become very unconscious when we're not aware of them, right? So all of a sudden we're spending all this money in areas of our lives that we didn't even realize that we're spending on. But one of the things that I really saw was that some people did have a problem. They had charge around spending money on their self-care and their health and on their future. And they also, and that can indicate that there was stuff around like feeling worthy of those things, right? And they also found that it's just like it was uncomfortable to spend, a certain amount of money on a certain thing and all the different things, yeah? And I also saw this with my own relationship to this when I was working at a gym. I was not making a whole lot. I was putting up with pretty low pay, even though I'd been working there for a long time, and I was also not treated the best. And these are things that were reflections of what was going on the inside with me, not what was going on necessarily on the outside. Because usually when we have stuff going on the inside, we're going to be more okay and feel more safe in cultures and places that aren't necessarily the best long term, right? And again, this is just a reflection of what was going on the inside for me, where I didn't feel worthy of asking for higher pay. I didn't feel worthy of asking for more. I felt safe with the way that things were because I didn't feel worthy. Like that was just a big thing for me. And that brings me to the 3 things that I want to talk about today, about where this, like the 3 core things to look at if we want to heal our relationship with money. And number 1, I just mentioned it, it's worthiness. It's the feeling of, do I actually feel worthy of earning money and receiving money and spending money on certain things? Do I feel that I'm only worthy of spending money on things that are cheaper, or that are on sale, or that are, that we can only get if there's some sort of sale on it, for example? That was a huge one for me. And do I feel worthy of earning more? Like, do I feel worthy of asking for a pay raise? Do I feel worthy of spending money on things that are important for my future, my health and my growth and my healing, right? Or do I not? Are there places inside of me that feel really uncomfortable with that because we feel unworthy of it? We feel like we're not valuable enough to spend money on those things, right? And that's just a huge, like the whole worthiness question is a huge, huge thing. I'm going to go deeper into those things as well, or that around worthiness as well. So that was number one. And number two is safety. Safety and feeling security around money is such a bit, like, if, worthiness is a big thing, but this one's kind of the core of our being, where if we feel insecurity and not safe around money, earning money, spending money, receiving money, circulating money, holding money, if there's a part of us in our nervous system that feels dysregulated when it comes to taking care of money or anything around money in general, likely that's going to affect our patterns around it. We're gonna avoid looking at our bank account. We're gonna avoid taking the measures necessary in order to earn more money. We're going to feel anxious around money. We're maybe the opposite of the avoidance. We're going to be constantly checking our money, and like the feeling of like maybe an underlying feeling that there's not enough, right? And if we kind of feel that we have that sense of unsafety in our bodies around money, that is something to really look at and start questioning. Like, what did I learn about money growing up? How did I feel safe or unsafe around money growing up? How did my family talk about money? Was this a charged topic for my caregivers or for my environment? I know this was a really big one for me. There was so much stuff around money and insecurity around money that there wouldn't be enough. And my body was so wired around that sense of insecurity that anything that had to do with money and numbers as well, I was just like, I can't, like, I don't want to look at it. It's too much. It's too scary. It's reminding me of my past and I don't want to go there. Right. So it's just looking at where those things, like what was my relationship to security and safety growing up, and how that might have been related to money then. And if stuff comes up around that, then that is an invitation to really go within and take a look at what's going on at an emotional level and nervous system level, and start taking care of those younger parts of ourselves that might have started believing something around the insecurity of money, and start helping them feel safe around this topic. Yeah. So that was number two. And number three is a big one too. All these three are big, but number three is power. Power is something that is such a big topic. I mean, topic or just an energy and a dynamic that we see in society at large, where we might feel that some people who have money therefore have more power and more power over us. We might find ourselves feeling less powerful or helpless, powerless in comparison to people with money. So a really supportive thing to do here, and to get real about ourselves and how our relationship to this certain theme is to start looking at, what do I feel about people with money? Do I judge them? Do I think that they're bad? Do I think that they have more power than me and maybe they're misusing it in some way and they shouldn't have more money because look how bad they might be doing? I mean, these are stuff that's really like deep in our collective unconscious, right? And I really invite you to go into these, because if you can see those threads there, you can also see where that's playing out in your life as well. So again, coming back to like the sense of, do I believe that people with money have more power over me in some way? Not me necessarily, or power over other people. Like, what is the power dynamic that I'm feeling? Or do I feel like if I have less money than someone else, like whether it being someone in my family or a friend or whatever, that I'm less powerful, that I'm less important, that I'm less of something, less worthy perhaps, and somehow they have power over me. And there's this like kind of top-down dynamic going on. And with all of these different topics, it's about neutralizing them. So it's about like recognizing like, okay, I have this subconscious, unconscious belief. There's a part of me that believes that people with a lot of money have power over others, and they're maybe bad, and whatever they might be, I'm judging them. Then we can start recognizing that and start neutralizing it. So it's not a charge. It's not like this unconscious charge that's kind of like dictating the way that we feel about money, right? And we neutralize it by recognizing where we're doing the same within ourselves. If I feel like people with a lot of money they're misusing it, or they're powering over other people in some way, they're feeling like they're better than others because they have more money. Where am I feeling the same within myself toward other people? Not necessarily around money, but in other ways. Do I feel like I'm smarter than some people? Do I feel like I have nicer clothes than other people, and that makes me feel more powerful in some way? Like, start recognizing these things and take like radical responsibility for where these things might live in you. And the more you do that, the more you'll see that these things just kind of like they release their charge from within. That's kind of what happens when we start owning these things within, the charge releases. So start looking at where we might feel that. On the converse side, we might feel that we are less powerful, right? Like that we're helpless compared to others. So start looking at where we might feel that and how we are maybe projecting that, or like seeing that in other different areas of our life. Do I feel less powerful around people who have nice clothes, or whatever it might be? It's all about like realizing these things and seeing these things within ourselves, taking care of these things within ourselves, neutralizing them so they're not kind of causing a stir from, like I said, an unconscious place where it's affecting the way that we feel around money, where it's affecting the way that we earn money, where it's affecting our fear of what people might think of us if we earn more money, right? And these are things that are so common for women as well. Women just started earning more money, having the same opportunities as men do in the last like 100 years. And especially when it comes to power, there is this thing where we've had like power and money held over us for so long that many of us might feel a lot of fear around that in general, that people with money are like, they're bad because they've been in control, right? So it's really about looking at these things within ourselves and start doing the inner work around it. So I advise you to take a look at those 3 patterns that I mentioned, or those 3 core places, sources that our weird relationship with money comes from. Start becoming self-aware of them. I'm going to drop some journaling questions in the comments below so that you can explore on your own. And as you're exploring these things, just note, and even from this conversation too, notice what comes up in your body. Like, notice the feelings that come up, notice the sense of dysregulation maybe in your nervous system, maybe the fear, not the fear necessarily, but the shame around certain things, and like, just give them space to be there. Like, practice emotional resilience with this as things come up. Don't let your mind just like go 100 miles an hour and start writing and intellectualizing and kind of understanding these things. Bring them also into your body. And through that, you do create more resilience and more safety for you to meet these emotions within yourself. Because the truth is, so many of our behaviors and our beliefs and our thoughts, they come from emotional cores or roots within our own bodies. And the more we can release and feel and resolve the emotional roots that are within our bodies, the less of a charge there, the less these behaviors are going to be driving our lives in some way, and the less disempowered we will feel about this. So I hope that this was helpful in some way. If you would love to connect with me, or you are curious about private work with me, you can connect with me on Instagram. My name is @Ingrid.Nedrebo, Nedrebo. I'll drop it below. So I'm going to put that there. And then just as a reminder as well, like, you are worthy of earning money. You're worthy of holding money and feeling safe with money and feeling trusting with money. And it's fully possible. It is fully possible to do so. And this is again where like true power comes forward, where you're not, You know, you're not power over anyone else. You're just standing solid in your own power with this. There's so much power for you to find here and to do this inner work within yourself so that you can create the life that you deeply desire and that you're worthy of having. I hope this was helpful. If anything resonated with you, drop it down in the comments and I'll be back for more. Have an amazing day.